The Kansas City Chiefs just added exactly what the NFL feared. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Kansas City Chiefs news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is the Kansas City Chiefs are pursuing Panthers running back this offseason. While most offseason activity on the player acquisition front has come to a halt, there are still some intriguing avenues for the Kansas City Chiefs to consider when rounding out their roster. Some small moves will probably be made before or after training camp. Final roster cuts will also make some interesting names available. And then there's the trade route. The Kansas City Chiefs have 2 things that make them a prime trade partner for any team: cap space and draft capital. The Chiefs still have around $16 million in cap space from the Algeria Sneed trade that became official in March. They also have a plethora of picks in the next couple of drafts that would allow them to take on just about any player in a trade. Of course, the back-to-back Super Bowl champions don't have that many holes on the roster, but there are a few areas of concern that could use a veteran to solidify depth. One of those areas is running back. As of right now, the only 2 shoo-ins at running back for Kansas City are Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. After that, we're looking at a number of undrafted free agents battling it out and some camp invites. The Chiefs should be actively looking for a veteran running back who not only brings depth, but can take a good chunk of the carries if Pacheco were to go down. Edwards-Helaire shouldn't be anything more than a number 3 running back in an ideal world. One name that is realistic to acquire and could give a nice boost to the Chiefs' backfield is Carolina Panthers running back Miles Sanders. Sanders had a disappointing season last year for Carolina after signing a sizable 4-year deal worth over $25 million as a free agent. Prior to that, Sanders rushed for over 3,700 yards with 21 touchdowns in 4 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. Unfortunately, Sanders tallied a career-low 3.3 yards per carry last year for Carolina and failed to hit the 500 yards rushing mark for the first time in his career. As a result, Sanders has already been named a sneaky cut or trade candidate this offseason. Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports recently put out that Sanders could be a post-June 1st cut for Carolina to save money as he fights for backup carries with fellow Panthers teammates Chuba Hubbard and rookie Jonathan Brooks. We do know that the Panthers were a train wreck last year as they are still in the early stages of a rebuild with sophomore quarterback Bryce Young. Carolina's offensive line wasn't good last year, and it can be pointed at as a reason for the poor season for running back Miles Sanders. Regardless, the Chiefs should absolutely be in the market for a player like Sanders at the right price. Sanders had over 1,000 yards rushing in 2022 for the Philadelphia Eagles and was a big part of their elite offense that earned them a Super Bowl appearance. Kansas City could greatly benefit from adding a running back to the backfield that has had over 1,000 yards very recently. For whatever reason, it's not working out in Carolina, but that doesn't mean it couldn't work in Kansas City, where the offensive line is much stronger. And the offense is built to welcome players like Sanders. You know Andy Reid is going to get the most out of him, and even if he isn't the same Miles Sanders from 2 years ago, he's useful depth at worst. Carolina's offense was horrible last year, but Sanders would be in a low-pressure situation in Kansas City where he could prove that he's still a very good running back and then go from there. Of course, if Sanders is a post-June worst cut, there's no need for the Chiefs to trade for him, and that would be ideal. However, if Kansas City wanted guaranteed rights to him, they could offer a late-round draft pick to Carolina so that they get something for a player who they were going to cut anyway, and Carolina may even offer to pay some or most of his salary. Miles Sanders is just one of a few names at the running back position who could become available for Kansas City to sign. Still, he is the most intriguing possibility and has the best track record for any potential running back. With all of that being said, General Manager Brett Veach should keep an eye on that running back situation in Carolina as we move forward this offseason. The second story is Chiefs' Travis Kelce says he will play until wheels fall off. Travis Kelce turns 35 in October and acknowledged he's a lot closer to the end of his football career than the beginning, but he said he's not planning on 2024 being his final season. I love coming to work every single day and doing this. So I am going to do it until the wheels fall off, and hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon, Kelce said after the Kansas City Chiefs minicamp practice Tuesday. I can't put a time frame on it, man. Obviously, I know that there's opportunities outside of football for me, and I think you've got to keep in perspective that I'm still a little kid when I come into this building. I know I'm 34 years old, about to be 35. But I have a love to do this right here in the middle of the heat in June. Kelce kept busy in an off-season that included his first major acting role in the FX horror drama Grotesquerie. Some of it, including the acting part, is aimed at setting himself up for life after football. I do take the off-season to get away and kind of recharge, but at the same time, I'm a football player, Kelce said. I love playing in the NFL, and this will always be my main focus. But outside of that, football ends for everybody, so kind of dipping your toes in the water and seeing what you like in different areas and different career fields, I think the off-season is the best chance you can get. Kelce indicated he would be ready for his normal busy workload during the season, saying, "Wear and tear, baby. I'm ready for it, man. Put the load on me." But the Chiefs added 2 tight ends this year in veteran Irv Smith Jr. and draft pick Jared Wiley. Noah Gray, their 4th leading receiver last season, is also back. That could be a sign that Coach Andy Reid plans to reduce Kelce's workload. It's my job to make sure that Coach Reid has full confidence in me whenever he needs me out on that field or whenever I'm out on that field, Kelce said. As much as I want to be out there every single play, I understand that it's for the betterment of the team when I'm not. I'm more comfortable with that right now because of the guys that we have in the room. We've got a lot of great tight ends in the building, and it's fun seeing them have success as well. The Kansas City Chiefs have some questions at wide receiver. And at least in the depth spots, there is a bit of a logjam. Last Thursday, that logjam became even more crowded after Mecole Hardman re-signed with the Chiefs on a 1-year deal. Names like Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, and Xavier Worthy sit near the top of the depth chart. A veteran like Justin Watson has also built some of a rapport with Patrick Mahomes in recent seasons. But beyond that, it is a messy-looking picture, attempting to determine the final wide receiver spots. Will Hardman have a role with this return? Can Sky Moore flash any sign of promise? Plus, what expectations should there be, if any, surrounding someone like Kadarius Toney? Perhaps the Chiefs saw bringing Hardman back as a sign that suitable depth was still needed at wide receiver. In fact, should the Chiefs still look into additional wide receiver moves even after re-signing Hardman? Regardless of what happens in training camp with names like Moore and Toney, there are a few other wide receivers to keep in mind. Each of the following names have had some level of hype surrounding them over the course of the last couple of years. The third story is, this will be Andy Reid's final year with the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid has been the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs now for 12 seasons after being hired in 2013. With 2024, though, it will mark the last year Reid will coach for the Chiefs. Reid has been an NFL head coach now since 1999 and is entering his 26th season in doing so. Over that span, he has a 258, 144-1 record with a 26-16 postseason record to follow. Reid is 66 years old, and it's clear his time as a head coach will be over soon. Reid has dealt with health issues in the past, dealing with heart palpitations. Reid isn't getting any younger, and the Chiefs' path to another championship isn't getting any easier either. Patrick Mahomes is still in the midst of his 10-year deal he signed in 2020 for $450 million. That contract was then restructured for Mahomes to make $208.1 million between 2023-2026. While Mahomes is a great quarterback, he isn't getting any cheaper, which presents an entire circumstance for the Chiefs to try and construct the roster around. This has already led to issues with keeping star talent on offense like Tyreek Hill at receiver and L'Jarius Sneed on defense. That impact is going to continue to be felt over the rest of the contract, and it was shown last year coming in full effect as the Chiefs' offense has their worst year of production in the Mahomes-Reid era, finishing 15th in points and 9th in yards. The Chiefs will need a roster reconstruction at some point, and at this point in time, Reid won't have the time and capability to go through that. The Chiefs will regress this season, signaling an era of change being needed. The Reid retirement rumors have circled before, but at the end of this 2025 season, they will come true, as Reid will want to go out on top before having multiple struggling years with talented players like Travis Kelce getting older and having to get younger players adjusted to the team. There are other instances where it appears as if Reid has lost control of the team between the controversy on the sideline with Kelce and then off-field issues with players like Rashee Rice. It is time for a new voice to take the team over. So, who are some great early candidates for the Chiefs to consider?